Hello, good day. My name is Jonas Robert L. Miranda. I am from Surigao del Norte State University, Surigao City, Philippines. I am going to present a paper entitled Revitalizing Teacher Authority, a philosophical framework challenging adaptive learning systems and learner-centered education. This paper presents a framework for restoring teacher authority in education by viewing teaching as action. The primary argument is that education has shifted to focus on learner freedoms, influenced by progressive ideas such as learner-centered education. This shift has been further supported by adaptive learning systems, which utilize algorithms and artificial intelligence to tailor learning experiences to each student's individual needs, abilities, and progress. Republic Act 10533, the Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013, mandates a learner-centered curriculum in the Philippines. With this law, LCE became the recommended curriculum nationwide. Meanwhile, the Department of Education partnered with Khan Academy Philippines Incorporated, an example of an adaptive learning system, on August 5, 2024 through a memorandum of agreement to provide more learners with access to digital learning content. In this paper, the researcher draws inspiration from Anna Arendt, specifically in critiquing LCE and considering the challenges that confront the modern world, which are growing more complex. The proliferation of fake news, AI-generated content, differing opinions, and an oversupply of easily accessible information is overwhelming, especially for students who have yet to truly immerse themselves in the world. Instead of viewing teaching as a passive method, this paper presents a framework for restoring teacher authority in education by reconceptualizing teaching as action. This framework positions teachers as figures of authority who guide students through established traditions while allowing for innovation and creativity. Authority in this regard is not a privation of power. Instead, it serves as a foundation for communities to thrive. Arendt views authority not as imposing, but as its original definition of augment or enhancing and building upon what is already established. Specifically, this paper answers the following questions. What is Arendt's concept of authority and critique of modern education? What are the philosophical or empirical foundations of LCE and ALS? Lastly, how do Arendt's ideas critique or enhance current educational paradigms? The questions are structured to follow a logical progression, beginning with the diagnosis of the issue and moving into theoretical exploration before proposing practical solutions. This approach effectively bridges theory and application, ensuring that Arendt's framework critiques and contributes to an educational model. In doing so, it connects Arendt's philosophy with contemporary educational challenges. This paper is constructed through both argumentative and exegetical writing. The researcher asserts a position and articulates the rationale behind it, while interpreting primary texts from the philosopher that serves as a foundational reference in shaping the developed stance. This approach aims to convey the essence of the text while uncovering dimensions of their meaning that may not be immediately apparent but are applicable and significant for understanding contemporary issues. The study utilizes textual analysis, lived experiences, and reasoned argumentation to address the framing question and establish a position. The researcher quotes relevant texts and follows each quotation with an analysis that supports the position or response to the framing question. Additionally, live examples drawn from personal experience or available data will be incorporated into the discussions, particularly those that illuminate the researcher's interpretation of the text. Finally, the researcher will engage in reasoned argumentation by referencing evidence from other authors and published literary works that either align with or challenge the position, thus contributing to the resolution of the framing question. The researcher aims to apply Arendt's ideas to contemporary scenarios, ensuring the validity of interpretations and claims by consulting the works of other scholars who have incorporated Hannah Arendt's concepts into 21st century educational discourse. Hannah Arendt's political philosophy, born from analysis of 20th century totalitarianism, offers a powerful lens for critiquing contemporary education by examining how the widespread adoption of LCE and the integration of EALS, while seemingly progressive, can inadvertently undermine the conditions necessary for genuine political life and critical thought. Hannah Arendt claimed that the educational crisis in America is rooted in the country's political temperament, which struggles to equalize or minimize as far as possible the difference between children and adults, particularly between pupils and teachers. Such an equalization can actually be accomplished only at the cost of the teacher's authority and at the expense of the gifted among the students. Moreover, she claimed that under the influence of modern psychology and the tenets of pragmatism, pedagogy has developed into a science of teaching in general, thereby becoming wholly emancipated from the material to be taught. A teacher, so it was thought, is a man who can teach anything. His training is in teaching, not in the mastery of any particular subject. Finally, she made it clear that the role of pedagogy and teachers' college in the current crisis is attributed to a contemporary theory of learning. This theory holds that true understanding comes only through personal engagement, effectively replacing learning with doing. Arendt warned that when adults refuse to assume responsibility for the world, the peer group's authority steps in, potentially leading to a tyranny of the majority. Specifically, a poorly executed LCE can lead to situations in which teachers act more as passive facilitators than authoritative guides, leaving students to navigate their educational journey primarily through peer interaction, which may not adequately prepare them for the complexities of adult life and public engagement. Hannah Arendt's view of education emphasizes teacher authority. However, according to study, teacher-centered forms of teaching contribute to the lack of interest in attending school and low participation rates among students and the decreasing national achievement test rates. Consequently, in its effort to transition to learner-centered education, in 2013, the Philippines implemented extensive in-service training for approximately 400,000 elementary and secondary public schools, promoting pedagogical approaches that are constructivist, inquiry-based, reflective, collaborative, and integrative. There are three justificatory narratives for implementing learner-centered pedagogy. The first is the economic perspective, which assumes that learner-centered pedagogy will better prepare students for the demands of the changing world. National governments are understandably interested in becoming as economically competitive as possible, and the argument is that young people will need specific key skills, such as critical thinking and creativity, to achieve such competitiveness. These skills are more likely to be fostered through learner-centered pedagogy. The second justificatory narrative is the cognitive perspective, which essentially means that children learn more effectively under learner-centered pedagogy than under previous approaches. Learner-centered pedagogy is often associated with constructivist theories of learning, which suggests that such approaches may offer significant benefits and lead to deeper learning compared to behaviorist approaches. The third and final justificatory narrative is the emancipatory perspective, which suggests that learner-centered pedagogy may have wider benefits to society, such as reducing inequalities, giving students a greater voice, and viewing knowledge as less fixed. However, in the same paper, the findings lead to the conclusion that there is a real gap in complex data to prove or disprove the value of learner-centered pedagogy, especially given its continued prominence in educational policy discourses. Considering the current state of education in the Philippines, teaching has evolved significantly beyond traditional methods, redefining the learning process and challenging the authority of teachers as well as the conventional classroom structure. However, numerous studies have highlighted the challenges associated with implementing LCE in actual classroom settings, demonstrating that the concept is not flawless despite its endorsement. A study revealed that in general, teachers, school administrators, and students support learner-centered practices in the classroom. However, barriers included systemic practices and differences in perceptions of learning. In this light, the recommendations were to conduct training or forums with educational practitioners focusing on the application of learner-centered principles in practice and to align curriculum and programs for both students and teachers with LCE. Another issue is that the reform policy can be read as placing learner-centered teaching in binary opposition to teacher-centered instruction, thus potentially creating a simplistic dichotomy between good and bad teaching, and positioning bad teaching in the form of teacher-centered pedagogical approaches as one of the leading factors behind the country's deteriorating quality of education. This dichotomy between learner-centered and teacher-centered pedagogies is embedded in the national education reform policy in the Philippines, highlighting the need for a critical investigation into how good and effective teaching is understood and practiced at the grassroots level in the classroom. Lastly, teachers report that discursive cooperative strategies are used. However, they face significant challenges including insufficient resources, large class sizes, inadequate time, and a lack of teacher knowledge skill in LCE. Jury Vleky supports Anna Arendt's perspective by arguing that education as a fundamental human practice only makes sense when it involves welcoming and introducing new generation into a shared world. The aim is not to confine students to their life roles based on their contingent interests, shaped primarily by family, social class, and community, but to encourage them to explore broader values in our common world. They must recognize that everyone can appreciate, study, and nurture these values. Consequently, Vlegy draws upon Arendt's educational philosophy to emphasize the limitations of on-screen learning that became prevalent during the pandemic. In an online classroom, students miss the opportunity to observe teachers' active engagement with the material, which typically illustrates the instructor's passion for the subject and the surrounding world. This absence diminishes the potential to inspire students to cultivate a similar appreciation for learning. A more advanced version of LC, which is increasingly popular in education today, is adaptive learning systems. An adaptive learning system is an algorithmic architecture characterized by complexity utilizing learning analytics and/or educational data mining to collect, analyze, and derive insights from educational data. These data are generated through interaction with the system, answering quizzes, and interactions with integrated chatbots, click behavior, and written exchanges with other students or teachers. The focus of the adaptive learning environment is thus a predefined target value. The systems align with this goal and calculates the student's current performance actual value. The adaptive system attempts to bring the current actual value as close as possible to the target value, built on a goal-oriented personalization in the logic of the adaptive environment. Learning and students are only a means to achieve the predefined goal. Spontaneous learning moments or analog learning experiences such as an exchange with a fellow student, looking up a topic in a book, or a spontaneous idea for an essay cannot be captured by the adaptive system's logic. These moments have neither value nor meaning within the AI application. Jury Vleggy and Piotr Zamoski argue that education is not primarily about meeting students' needs and interests. Neither is it about demanding youngsters to comply with a teacher's will, passively accepting everything she or he professes, and storing it in their minds. Instead, education is a meeting between two generations, students and teachers, where the passing on and possible renewal of the world they both participate in is facilitated. The dimension that defines them as students and teachers is what they study. A particular aspect of the world is subject matter such as languages, carpentry, mathematics, cooking, music, etc. Central to this robust pedagogical perspective are the concepts of love and the world, with love being the defining element of an educational situation. One cannot effectively teach something if one does not believe that what is being imparted to the next generation holds intrinsic value. Love rather than hate should be at the core of education. This implies that the proper focus of education is not the pupil, nor the student, the learner, nor the teacher in isolation. Instead, it is the world itself and everything in it, or everything it encompasses. Teaching as an action transcends mere technical skills. It represents a deliberative intervention in the lives of children, aimed at introducing them to the world they will inherit. The notion of teaching as action is deeply connected to Arendt's political philosophy. Action signifies the spontaneous initiation of something new and unique intervention within a public realm. Teaching in this light is indeed an action, as it engages a newcomer, the child, with a pre-existing world, thereby fostering new possibilities for human flourishing. The authority of the teacher is what renders this action both possible and meaningful. A greater degree of authority given to teacher would not be detrimental to the learner's free will. As Zagibsky writes in Epistemic Authority, the authority of others is crucial for a person to become introspective and autonomous. Genuine intellectual autonomy is not formed in isolation, but through exposure to other beliefs and trust in authority. In the context of education, teacher authority is instrumental, but also a more reliable influence for the formation of the student's free will. Teacher authority plays a crucial role in preserving cultural knowledge. Teaching is a process of cultural elaboration where educators share their interpretation and insights of the world, informed by their extensive cultural knowledge. The role and authority of the teacher in the classroom are crucial. If education shifts too heavily toward learner-centered approaches at the expense of teacher authority, it may fail to preserve actual cultural knowledge effectively. Without adequate guidance from an authoritative figure, particularly on the subject matter, students risk becoming aimless and less critical thinkers, developing only a superficial grasp of the material. Teachers assert their authority by preserving cultural traditions and equipping students with the tools necessary to engage critically with and contribute to the renewal of the world. Educationists or educators must resist reducing learning to utilitarian outcomes and prioritize moral and civic development over compliance with standardized systems. The decline of teacher authority within progressive models that favor pedagogical techniques over subject mastery can be detrimental. Authority grounded in deep content knowledge enables teachers to effectively guide students through complex ideas effectively, thereby enhancing student learning more effectively than coercive methods can. Education must adopt a conservative approach to safeguard students from societal pressures while also preparing them to embrace new possibilities. Teachers mediate between past knowledge and prospects, fostering relationships where dialogue and debate can flourish. This stands in contrast to algorithmic learning systems, which reduce risk in education to mechanistic processes, ultimately sidelining the unpredictability inherent in human interaction. Teaching as action embraces uncertainty while respecting tradition by providing foundational knowledge and ethical frameworks. Teachers empower students to exercise meaningful agency. Therefore, authority and autonomy should not be seen as opposing forces. Restore teacher authority in education by viewing teaching as action. Understanding teaching as a form of action emphasizes the performative and relational aspects of authority. Teachers do not simply hold authority by virtue of their institutional roles. They enact it through moments of dialogue, inquiry, and responsiveness that shape students' intellectual and moral growth. The authority exercised is public and contingent, emerging in the interplay between teacher and student, where new realms of meaning are revealed. Here are my references, starting from the different books cited, periodicals, and more periodicals, and several electronic sources. Salamat Karaja for listening to my presentation.